One of the videos I've been thinking about doing for a while now is about the different layers of soul fracturing. It's a very interesting experience I've been on, trying to understand who my husband is and how he can be so different and unrecognizable. And along this journey, it didn't make him feel good. Like, I know that now, but I was pretty insistent on getting answers. So it started with, it's all because of like when someone makes you feel completely rejected, dejected, ignored, you begin to think like, well, is something wrong with me? Or wait, what's wrong with them? Like, what, like, why is this happening? And so you kind of start to just, I'm afraid it's normal for a lot of women to do this, to kind of research and just start like, well, everything in the home or the atmosphere is like, something's really off. And so you just kind of start trying to figure out why things are so off kilter. And so it began with, 6 years ago, maybe now, when we were in Dubai in our first apartment. I just kind of asked, I was feeling like I wasn't able to connect with my husband, like even like have anything more than surface level conversation. And I think it was regarding my job or something. Like, he didn't even know what I did for work. Like, it was strange because we worked at the same company and he was never really interested in my personal life or my inner life or anything like that. But that was so different from how he was when we met. He was deeply curious and, all of those things. So to have such a huge shift, I think I was just like, I told him, like, I don't feel seen by you. Like, you're not even acknowledging me. And he was like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. And that was genuine. He didn't know what I meant. And I was like, you don't know what it means to feel seen? And he was like, no, like, conceptually, I kind of get what you're saying, but no, he really didn't understand. And I was like, man, for such an intellectual person, and he couldn't understand this simple topic, like, and so I like just looked up that phrase, like, I don't know what it means to feel seen, something like this. And childhood emotional neglect popped up because he had been deeply neglected since childhood, basically emotionally abandoned by his mother. Physically, both parents were there, but but on a deep, like, sincere, like, I'm proud of you, I love you, hey, I'm really sorry that I did this. I apologize to my child all the time. That didn't happen in his home. And it was all very surface level, and I knew that, but I thought that you could kind of become your own person. And from what I'd seen early in our relationship, he was not like this at all. So that was the first thing that led me on a trail, like, of strategies, how to get him therapy, which, he was open to, because he wanted, like, the marriage to work. But it's not like he was like, man, I really got to figure this out, because when you don't know what you're missing, you don't know what you're missing. So now, me being a very deep, like, I had, like, my dad was very deep and loving, and like would teach me things, and like, we had deep conversations, and he had thoughts about me, and he had visions for my life, and I had great parents. And anyway, not perfect parents, but I felt loved and I felt seen. There were definitely times where I was the youngest by like 10 years, so sometimes I kind of felt like the only child. I went to an academy when I was young, so I kind of left home at a young age, like 13, and I lived in the dorm from 14 to 17. And so, like, definitely I have some like rejection and alone, like definitely a fear of being alone, like God revealed that to me a year or two ago. And so that's something that I've also been healing and being delivered from. Anyway, so at the time, like, whenever you feel these symptoms and things aren't right in the marriage, then, you know, that's when you get the opportunity. They come to the surface, you got to deal with it. So then I'm following the trails down, and, you know, I know his peculiarities, and it was always, he didn't have words for it. He was 40 something years old when he was diagnosed with autism. That just helped to give me words for, okay, he's got some sensitivities. This is how I need to adjust my, like, expectations, my approach, how I communicate. Like, you know, if you, like, don't know, if you don't have words and labels for these things, it drives the other person crazy and I believe would make me worse, because I wouldn't have understanding. At the same time, labels have limitations, because I believe that we on earth have our mental health labels, but God sees them spiritually. And so that's what God has been bringing me on a journey of seeing our brokenness spiritually, our wounds or our peculiarities. Like, it's not all bad, but like, some things are what he wove into us, right? Like, some of our personality, some of the stuff is personality. Some stuff in behaviors and thinking patterns are hereditary. That it's in our DNA, how we respond to things, or how we handle things. Then there's also, like, the learned behavior that we get from our parents. So there's all these different layers, and I just believe that, like, now I see, like, things are way more nuanced than autism, or way more nuanced than abandonment attachment disorder. It's like, yeah, all of those things, you know, you can be diagnosed with, you can have, but if we don't ask God to give us his spiritual insight about iniquity, transgressions, sin, open doors to the enemy, where the enemy has legal access to basically torment you and attack you, and then you have trauma from that, and so you sin because of your undealt with trauma. Like, like, he's 50 years old now, so, like, he had, like, a whole life before me. So that's the other thing, is, like, I'm trying to catch up to things that I didn't know about him. You know, I only know what I've observed and experienced in the last 12 years, now going on 13 years, I think. So one of the things that I thought was so helpful was, one of the psychologists I met with gave me the illustration. Well, actually, I think I kind of put this together, but he told a story of, like, some mafia guy named the Ice Pick Man, and the way he would, like, murder people and get away with it is he would, icicle man, something like this. He would get an icicle. I don't know if this was Russia or where it was, but he would get an icicle, stab somebody, the water would melt, and you wouldn't know what the murder weapon was. Like, I'm sorry, but that's brilliant. So the way I just kind of imagined, because we're body, soul, and spirit, I just kind of imagine us as, like, having, if you, like, if I could 3D print this would be great. But we have a spirit, a soul, and a body, and each one has its own mind, will, and emotions. It's not just our soul is our mind, will, and emotions. It's actually each layer has its own mind, will, and emotions. And I have, I will link to Dan Duvall, because he explains that, and there's biblical backup for that. So I imagine, let's say you have these 3 layers, and it's kind of like a ball with these 3 layers, like a core, almost like the earth, right? So there's, like, a core, there's, like, what do they call it? Middle earth? I don't know. What is it called? The earth. And then there's the crust, okay? And that's, like, the body. And then there's like the soul, and then there's the sun. Let's just say for core, spirit. So let's just say that, for example. Okay. When there's, like, generational iniquity, like you're already getting born into the world with spiritual compromise. Like there's already forces against you because, for example, and I know this to be a fact, my husband had a Freemason ring from his grandfather. That is very helpful evidence because it's just known. And if you read testimonies, I don't care if you don't believe it. But anyway, you see the testimonies of people, Freemasons and other secret societies, they're into making oaths that you basically pledge your children. And then there's like really nasty things that happen in those organizations. So if his grandfather was in it, he probably had even lineage further back that pledged their families to Satan, whether or not they really realized what they were doing. That's what they did. And so, like, you get born into this world also. For example, if someone, if you're an unwanted child, let's say, you were conceived out of wedlock, and there was like a spirit in your parents that like didn't want you, and maybe an attempted abortion, something like this. That's also like trauma. So there's trauma that you can inherit before you're even born. And so, like, imagine you've got your spirit, your soul, and then your body. Like, you are already born with some fracturing. Like, some of the things are cracked and broken, right? Then let's say you grow up being neglected, or, you just think, you don't have a warm, loving home, or let's say something happens to you as a child. It could be an accident. It could be a type of abuse. I would consider that an icicle, bam, going all the way through each layer. And, we all have different adverse childhood experiences. Me, I had a lot of grief and loss from a young age. And then rejection and like just bad choices after that, blah, blah, blah. So those are all icicles. The icicle melts, right? So all you get is a fractured, so it's not just 3 pieces now. It's like, God kept giving me the word last year, shattered. His soul is shattered. And that's why he was so fragmented in the way that I saw him, how he would be a different person with this person, how he was he was so hypocritical because he was judging that person while he was doing something worse to me and his daughter. And it just like this is not you, like who? So we can be very shattered and fragmented, and it's because the icicle has melted. We never, we didn't either like recognize. It's not like you can see, oh yeah, Satan did this, that's why. It's like we only find out after extreme pain, extreme trauma, extreme loss. So now the trauma that I'm going through of healing and separately from my husband is revealing the codependency I had, the idolatry I had of being married and having that whole thing. And even the idolatry of like my, God had given us so many beautiful prophetic words together of like humanitarian leadership and doing things for kids and having a business and a ministry, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I even had an idolatry of that because purpose is so important to me, but like it can't be more important than Jesus himself, even if it is from God. Like the things of God can't be more important than God. And so like I had to grieve all of that, which is not wrong. It's not wrong to grieve those things. You just have to, it's just a process of seeing like where things were held in your heart. So then when you go through this trauma, right, this exposes, now it's shining a light on all of my areas where I've been fractured in my body and my soul. My body needs to heal. For example, how God is healing. Let's say if we just look at that outer layer of my body, and I had for the last couple of years depended on caffeine, alcohol, like casually, but still, you know, not being able to take care of it. Now in the last couple of months, I've been prioritizing caring for my body, and lately I've been fasting. Fasting is healing. Like, I didn't realize like how, like, why the Bible talks about fast, like Jesus fasted like regularly. Like, it's actually extremely healing for your body to fast, like water and stuff like this. So just thinking about like how in this season, when I'm going through technically like the worst thing in my life, God is using the fresh trauma to expose all the old trauma, the childhood trauma, all, like, he's, where the icicle has melted, but it's done the damage. Like, now he's empowering me to go back and heal. He is coming in and healing the damage, but he's also showing me how it got there in the first place, what agreements I made, what my ancestors did, like how the enemy has legal access and rights to do that. Like, it's up to me to be the curse breaker for my family. It's up to me to use the word of God to rectify and close doors that I and others had opened through sin, transgressions, iniquity, through things that happened to us that were beyond my control, accidents that took my brother and sister's life, that caused me to believe this and then do this. And, it's just a chain reaction. It's like a butterfly effect. But like, God has seen all of, like, he knows every moment in history. I mean, let's just focus on your life individually. He knows every moment. He knows every, like the time when he knows every lie you began to believe and when you began to believe it. And he wants to undo it. Then he wants to actually, like, make you stronger in place of that. Because now, like, we have resurrection life where, like, let's say you've got wounds that, like, let's say you didn't really do anything. They're not infected or anything, but they didn't really heal fully, like he's actually going in and like making it stronger and like than it was before. Like, not just like, oh no, it's fine. Like, no, like, I'm not into management. Like, I do not want to manage anything. Like, if I had a physical wound, or even if I have like an emotional, like, I don't want to manage anxiety or depression. I don't want to, that's giving it power. You know what I mean? I don't want to manage I kind of have this pudge that I'm trying to, like, he's giving me the solution. It's fasting. And when I fast, that's a spiritual superpower right there. Pair that with tongues, pair that with the deliverance that I'm doing. Like, that is like a lookout kingdom of darkness. 'Cause like we're doing all the, we're just going after it. This is war. And so, yeah. So I just wanted to encourage people, like, anytime I hear somebody explain, like, yeah, this guy's crazy, he did this, or, like, I don't know why my parents, blah, 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 I'm like, well, I know why. Actually, like, God gives us, he will bring you into understanding. And when you have understanding, you have more empathy, more compassion. You have more tools to overcome. Like, just ask God, like, to show you in the word. There's so many lovely teachers of the word who, like, break down, like, here's the keys, here's what you need to pray, here's, like, Psalm 91 is a really popular one for protecting. So, like, I've done that one. Is speaking the word for my situation. There's a great PDF that this woman, Lorna Vaughn, and her ministry, Tongue of Fire Ministries, she has a whole book on warrior wife prayers. And it's just scripture after scripture after scripture that highlight to you how you, if you're a wife and you don't want to divorce your husband, even if you do want to because you're too traumatized, like I relate to it, I get it, but if you feel like God is inviting you and you're in a position where you can intercede for yourself and him, like this is the resource. It is incredible, and it's just such a great way. I mean, reading God's word back to him, speaking it back to him, speaking it over the situation. It is the sword, right? Like I keep having, I've had several dreams about knives and swords, and sometimes I like, oh, like I'm too afraid to use it. Isn't that a word? Like I'm too scared to use it in the dream, which is telling me in real life that I was too afraid to use the Bible in real life. I either wasn't enforcing what I knew, or I was like, didn't know what it said, so I couldn't use it properly. Isn't that terrible? Gosh, it's like hindsight is, can you have 40/40 vision? Like hindsight is like, ugh, why didn't I do that? How did I miss that? We're in a maturation process. So yeah, I think I really pray that God gives us more, he's giving you time. You're in a period, I don't know why I'm saying this, but you're in a period where he's giving you time to learn and catch up. Maybe you kind of put off understanding the Bible in this way, or you just didn't know that the word is so full of these hints and clues and how to overcome our body, soul, and spirit brokenness. But it's all there. It's all there. And like God is raising up amazing teachers. I love listening to YouTube podcasts and then just like having the understanding. I just like, that meme that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme where the guy's like, and it's like he's got the conference board and he's got like the yarn tied to the pins and like this, like that's how I am with, because my husband has not been able to articulate what he thinks, how he thinks, doesn't know what's going on. He really can't offer up much about, how he feels about God, what he desires, like his inner world, it's there, but it's locked up. And he's also got, which we all probably have a level of this, some people more than others, soul parts that are, kind of stuck at an age of development because they were split off and not able to grow from a trauma. So you can have a 3-year-old inside of you. You can have a 12-year-old, part of you that just never really grew up because of a trauma that happened to you. And this the thing is like, there's not any major specific trauma that you can point to in my husband's life, except he doesn't remember much of anything. And so neglect is a type of trauma. And I know it's there because it's how he treats me and he just doesn't realize it. I don't think he intends to. I stand by, I can see where he does things quite cruelly, and I can also see where he doesn't mean to, and he just doesn't realize. And even God has shown me that there are the different parts of him that are working in different ways, and he's just all bound up. It's so thankfully, like, we have authority, right? So if you're a wife, you have authority to stand for your husband, to intercede for your husband, to fight for your husband's freedom in the courts of heaven, and blah, blah, blah. I will link to that because it's been really, really great content. But yeah, I wanted to share that because the way that I see, there was this one other thing God showed me. Getting, again, on the mental health side of things, because for a while we thought my husband had like dissociative identity disorder, multiple personalities, because he's so highly, again, fractured, shattered, misremembering things that were not said, or saying things that didn't happen, like strange behavior, again, from someone who used to be very consistent, logical, put together. Suddenly he was very frazzled, foggy. I wouldn't say incoherent, more hiding, like, just like, he's there, but he's like also not, he's absent. And so all these nuances, I'm reading through this book, this Setting the Captives Free book, and I'm renouncing all those spirits and commanding, casting out all those spirits from both of our bloodlines. And it's very clear how much of it is Leviathan that has been blocking him, and that's an iniquity thing. I believe it came in through the Freemasonry and other stuff like that. Jezebel from my side, spirits of control, and fixing and all of that. And, making him feel emasculated because, you can't do this. Well, fine, I'll do it. That kind of thing. Learning and mental disorders. I mean, everything is in this book, and God is highlighting, the plethora, the detailed, very specific spirits. But anyway, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say that a few months ago, I was visiting my mom's house, and I was thinking about all this stuff, and I'd been listening to podcasts, and I felt God gave me an image because my husband has a different protocol for dealing with me based on the scenario. So it's not one person dealing with one person. It's, it's also not just based on the person, because it's not that he treats me differently. It's not that he treats me differently from his best friend or his affair partner. It's that he treats even different scenarios with me as different people. God, it's so confusing. Anyway, so what I saw was, like, imagine an ice cube tray. And the ice cube tray is the different protocols. And so, and there, everything is very rigid and frozen, right? If there's water in it, it's ice. So he has, for each scenario, if there's 12 different ice cubes, he's got 12 different ways of dealing with me, depending on the conversation topic, who we're around, kind of thing. So, like, the mother of Rapha, he treats differently. He's very open and warm and nice to the mother of Rapha. The wife that he has betrayed and abused, the woman that he's divorcing, because we were working through that initially before God told me not to, that person, he hides and lies and minimizes, what he did, that was so hurtful. If I asked about something, he would be like, oh, it wasn't a big deal. Instead of, obviously at that point we were reconciling, and he was like minimizing while we were in the reconciliation process. So that was a bad sign. But so I saw that, but then I saw, like, if you have an ice cube tray, he has sets and sets of ice cube trays for other people. God, I don't know if maybe I'm the only one that doesn't work this way and other people do work this way, but like it just is must be so exhausting to be him. But what I saw is in between, if you're like expanding it like this, there are guardians, demonic guardians at each access point that would connect you. For example, when I reached out to the affair partner and shared with her, like, his mental health condition, and explained the truth of, like, and I have another video on that. She was like, oh, I didn't know that he had lied about blah blah blah. Like, he, in his own mind, he has like protectors at each juncture, so that, like, let's say if there's, from my ice cube tray to her ice cube tray, there's like a stairwell. or from mine to, let's say, like his work or something like that. Like that's a very, he protects those with demons, basically. So that, what I mean is, let's say, let's say we have an interaction. Here's a real life example. We had decided to reconcile. He knew that as part of this, it would be safer for him and us if he kind of cut out the people, stopped communicating with the people who encouraged the affair and were, encouraging the bad behavior, including his best friend and obviously the girlfriend. And so when he started messaging his best friend again, I said, hey, do you think it's a good idea to open this door? Now, I didn't know at the time, I'm not supposed to say anything like that. As a wife, like, yes, I would love for him to be accountable and respectful for my safety and blah, blah, blah. But he was making a choice, and it's not helpful for me to kind of be his mother and be like, don't do that. You're ruining our, and we ended up separating anyway, since after that happened, because clearly where he was in his mind, where his heart really wasn't in it. He didn't want to restore the marriage and take care of his daughter and anything like that. So when I mentioned that, he lashed out at me, like verbally, like just like, and he's such an even, calm, nice person. Like the presenter is. The mask of him is. And so when that happened, I was like, he's very protective and like in a negative way, self-protective of these other ice cube trays. It behooves him to keep everyone and everything extremely separate, because then they can hide. Then he can go and be whatever version with whoever, and he can get what he wants from every different person. So that was just a very interesting thing that God showed me, how, if you imagine one ice cube tray for every person and 12 ice cubes for every, that's getting to be a lot of fractured parts, hundreds. So it's just interesting. And it's not like I have all the answers, because I haven't seen him restored yet. So I don't know how God is going to go in and heal that, but I know it's going to involve, I know two things. From this week alone, as I'm working through this book, the spirit of rejection, like there were a couple of sections in the book that made me yawn way bigger. And like, I had kind of worked through, let's say in the last 7-8 years since I had my encounter in Dubai, I worked through a lot of the spirits or symptoms that previously I would have said oh man, I'm in deep bondage, but God has already been working and entangling and healing and building me up in a lot of areas, not all of them, but a lot of them. And so when some of these ones like spirit of rejection, it's a huge long list of all these different ways that you can be rejected, reasons, and then also things that you can do as a result, ways that you can rebel as a result of feeling rejected. And I'm telling you, he must have been 80% of them. And it just breaks your heart that, your partner suffered so deeply, because whatever he's put me through, I'm feeling whatever he felt to begin with. And he just never has had words for it. He didn't even maybe know that he went through it, but it's definitely affected his spirit, his soul, his body. He just has been kind of running and hiding from even knowing that. It's painful. Facing your pain is the worst. I mean, and then on top of that, facing the destruction that you've wreaked because you decided to quit facing the pain, that's worse. So it's I understand and I empathize, and God is, I have to forgive regularly, because I'm still in it. Technically I'm still being traumatized in a small way. God is I'm away from it now. So I'm not directly being impacted, but when you're standing for the other person and it's years, because I've been on this journey interceding for him for several years. Before the affair started, he already internally discarded Ratha and I. Soon after she was born, he just kind of discarded us mentally, emotionally. But like physically, very present. He'll do stuff. He's like happy to be a robot. Like, oh, you just tell me what to do and I'll do it kind of thing, which is, helpful. But like, I could definitely feel spiritually, like in my heart, like, oh, things are getting worse. Like something's really, really off. But you know what? The reason I'm making this is to just kind of highlight like how the enemy attacks us, hijacks us, and I almost want to say like a lot of the things that that have happened to us aren't our fault, but like how we respond, how I would have exacerbated my husband's condition based on how he was neglecting me. And then, I would have been really like hurt and like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you blah, 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 blah. Like that definitely made him feel worse, definitely pushed him away. Not my fault that he, didn't deal with it properly or get healing when he had all the resource to do so. Like that part's not my fault, but I do have to be responsible for how I manage the trauma that I'm experiencing, right? And not make things worse. So, these are only things that you find out, you realize later, and in God's grace, like he forgives us, empowers us, he heals us and then empowers us to go and heal others, in his authority and in his name and with his word, with his knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So, as painful as this has been, I mean, don't ask me on my worst days when I was like crying in the fetal position, but like now I've survived it and God is empowering me to overcome it. And my prayer is like, God, don't waste any of this trauma. Like, let me minister to people. Let me give something away, that takes someone out of their despair, because I know those feelings of despair of, like, what did I do to deserve this? And yeah, I mean, you don't deserve it, but the enemy is very clever. He's very sneaky and subtle, and he, his whole mission is to steal your destiny, your resources, your capacity to kill, and destroy. Like he's been working overtime. And if that's happened to you, that just tells me that if you have a target on your back, it's because you have a really, you might be your family's generational curse breaker. You have something on you, an anointing or a purpose that's like transformational for these days. And like, the enemy sees that, and he's going to use whoever, especially the person closest to you, to bring you down. But God is going to build you up. God is going to be like, how he was with Job, like, okay, you took, I'll let you take the hits. I'm going to allow you to lose everything. I'm going to allow this to happen. And then, I don't know if I heard it somewhere. I told somebody, like, as deep and dark as you have like fallen and been pushed down to, like, it's to that degree of height. And like, it's not just success, it's like kingdom impact that God has for you. So I'm like, God, I've had a spirit of death has been after my family, and I don't mean death and devouring. I don't mean only physical, although there has been a lot of physical death, but devouring, like my family's, like purpose and destiny to minister to kids, to heal people, to minister through music. Like there's so many generational blessings. Like I feel, I don't know, I'm just going to speak this because it's a revelation to me, like, God has to empower me right now in this season I'm in, where I've been in limbo. I kind of been like, Paul was shipwrecked in Malta, I was shipwrecked in Savannah. like God is using this season to empower me, strengthen me. I'm fasting, I'm praying. I'm like, I'm in the my church says, like, the prayer closet. I've been like living in the prayer closet with God. And the reason he's doing that is because he needs to pour out his blessings on this family. Someone's got to sustain it. I can't sustain it if I'm still got my body, soul, and spirit fractured. Like, oh my gosh, I remember in high school, we had to do the toothpick bridges. And I was like, I just got my boyfriend to do it because, like, ugh, so boring and I don't want to learn the lesson. But now I'm learning the lesson, Mr. Grow. I think it was physics class. And so I learned, like, the triangle shape makes it strong, right? And so we did a bunch of triangles in our bridge. I mean, he did it. I didn't do it. My boyfriend did. But, like, because I left it till the last minute, the glue didn't dry overnight. And so when I had to go do it test it in the class the next day, it broke, right? Like, it couldn't hold the weight. So, yes, God, I got it. Like, that's why it's important for me to, like, build all my little triangle formation toothpicks in this season. Like, embrace the season of God replacing the damage the enemy has done with, like, the supernatural, with resurrection life, with power, with knowledge, with the, like, living the word, like the word reading you, not just you passively reading it, like oneness with him. Like, there's so many treasures to extract from this season, so that, like, I just don't know what it's like to be walking in fulfillment of walking in my full purpose. I feel like I've been doing a little bit here, a little bit there, and it's gotten me here, right? Like, but I'm a very purpose-driven person. I have systems and ideas and world change. I've got journals full of, I'm that person, but I haven't, I'm not there yet, but that's because God is still building me. But like I said, I'm in a transition season because he's telling me, like, okay, it's time to start packing, time to start preparing. I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't know where I'm going to move, but it's time to prepare. It's time to prepare. That's your word.